Good evening. Just waiting on the lobby to fill up, and then we'll get underway about 8 o'clock. So, just a few more minutes of silence before we get sprint quality underway, as it is the second sprint race of the season, and looking forward to it. Japan can throw up adverse weather, so good luck to those who haven't prepped for rain, if there is rain. Okay, it's now 8 o'clock. We're just about to get started. So we're in this for the long haul. Let's get comfortable. And ready up. So let's see what we've got. If somebody can tell me what the weather's going to be like during sprint quali and sprint race once we've loaded into the lobby, that would be great. Yeah, Colin, you never want rain. In my personal opinion, Suzuka is much more enjoyable in the rain. So let's see what we've got. Colin's saying it's a lot more enjoyable when you can stop and turn too. That just sounds like a skill issue. And yeah, that's Josh Shane, championship leader in the building. Yeah, I don't know how you've managed that one, but bear with me for a second. I'm just going to turn off the overlay because I don't know why it's on. Okay, and we're back. So we have got 12 minutes of short quali to set the grid for the sprint, which will be, I think it's 9 laps around Suzuka, followed by a further 18 minutes of short quali, which will then be followed by the 50% race of 27 laps. So it's going to be a relatively full weekend of racing, and looks like we've got the first car coming out of the pit. It looked like one of the Alpines. It is one of the Alpines. And yeah, of course it's Colin. Straight off the bat, straight out. Does like to get a early lap. Yeah, how Josh has ended up leading the championship is beyond me. It does help that I've missed 3 races. This will now be my 3rd race. So, and Luke's missed a handful. Dan's missed a couple. But the new point system does mean that if you miss a race, it's a big disadvantage. So we'll see who else we've got out on track. Hindsight, Harvey, Chip, Kane, Cavlis, James Brown. As yeah, Mechanical is going to be the first one to set a lap. He is on the medium tyre. Mihai is also out on the medium, and so Riker has them fitted. So as Claymore and Josh both leave the pits at the same time, Josh on the medium too. as we'll go through to Colin just as he starts his lap, draining that battery as he starts his hot lap. Benefit of Suzuka is turn 1 is pretty much just lift into it and then tap the brakes as you enter turn 2. Try and get the rotation in the car, use all of the exit curb. Now through the S's, it is a matter of lift to get the turn in, drop a gear and go again. Try and get as close to the inside curbs as possible without really getting onto them, as it can unsettle the car massively dependent on ride height. There is a little bit of traffic in front of him, 32.9. It's not a perfect first sector, but it's better than what you'd expect on the mediums as he comes into the hairpin. Very tricky corner to get right. Car's moving out of his way as you'd expect, so well done to everybody there getting out of his way. Coming up to the entrance of Spoon, very easy to run wide here and to get understeer on the exit here. Straight into the overtake mode and the straight line mode. Out of battery already before he's even reached 130R, so is he going to have to lift and coast a little bit through there in order to preserve some battery? No. Hard onto the brakes for the final chicane. Again, another tricky corner, straight back onto the power. Overtake mode enabled. 30.3, it's a good opening lap. He'll be happy with that. He'll be able to come back into the pits, drop onto a set of softs and go again if needed. As Chip is through the middle sector. Hindsight and Harvey have both done 30, so Hindsight's done a 30.2. Harvey did a 30.6, Mihai 31 flat, Cavalis 30.9, and Kane a 31.8, and Chip has done a 30.8. So we've got a few people already setting laps. Now let's try and find who is the furthest around. Josh is at the hairpin. Claymore is coming round Degner 2. Awkward sequence of corners. At least they've seemingly flattened out that exit curve. Dave's on an out lap. Hindsight's on an in lap. Mechanical's on an in lap. Trailing dirt and whatever else through the top of the S's. Harvey's on an in lap. Dan is just coming down to the end of sector 2. Josh seems to be on a decent lap. I'm going to put this in around a 30.5 if he can hook up the final sector. .8, so he's in there and thereabouts in terms of overall pace, as Riker's on a 30.1. That was Dan sneaking in with a 30.907, so 6 thousandths off the back of Cavalis on the slower tyre. So that is something to be looking at, is the medium possibly the optimal tyre here. As Grazy's just exiting Spoon. Riker's on his in lap now, so Kane is on an in. That should have been an in lap, unless he fueled it to go twice, which I would be surprised. Follow him around sector 1 to see if he improves or if he just misjudged and didn't enter the pits, or it just feels like he could have had a better lap somewhere. So looking at, should be around about 29 or 31. So he is up on his lap, so he has had an issue somewhere. Yeah, as he's 31.8, so he's 6 tenths off. He's had a moment somewhere on this lap. But is he going to cost himself? Grazy's done a 29.7, so he's the first one into the 29s on a set of softs. But that could be his one and done lap. He's just got to hope that nobody really improves. As Kane is coming down this back straight towards 130R, the crest of the hill, just before the end of the second split. So he's only fractionally up. So he's not really saved himself much time, but there is time for him to dive into the pits now, which he's not done. He stayed in the same place, so stayed in P13. Marshall's on an out lap. Also is still in the pits as per usual. Gameful's on his lap, on an out lap. So we're just now at that awkward stage of where we're waiting on people to bolt on a set of softs. So Harvey is on his out lap. Josh is on his way out. Chip 2, Cavalis is in the garage. Dan's in the garage. Mihai is on his way out. So they're all now filtering out. The yellow flag in sector 2, that could just be a slow moving car, which I'm going to presume is Kane. How much fuel did he have in that car if he's still got battery and no fuel warning light? So unless he's fueled it just to do a kind of a mock run for the sprint, and there he goes, he's dropped it. That's not what we like to see. Looks like he did get on that outside curb. Okay, so we'll jump back on board with Harvey as he's just about to go through the end of sector 1. Just about to start heading back up the hill at turn 7, I think it is. This should be significantly quicker. Yeah, there we go. 3 temps quicker. Clayton Zane turning up. I don't know how Josh is the championship leader. Turning up helps. So this is the man that pit and quit for like the first 3 rounds of the season because he couldn't understand how the battery and the recharge system worked. While I was out here enjoying races. Evening also, Harvey has managed to make light work of the cars that were around him. 8 temps up as we move towards the final chicane. If he can nail the braking for here, you've got to ride both curbs and hope that you don't take too much and invalidate or bounce straight over, but it's got to be a solid lap. Only puts himself P2 right back, is only just behind his teammate. Dan's just started his lap. Chip is through sector 1. Josh is just starting his. Claymore's on his. How's Colin gonna get on through the S's? 8 temps clear. That is almost 8 temps clear. So he's had a much better run through there that time. It will pain me if I have to do a post-race interview with Colin. So anybody listening, watching along, beat him as he does enter Spoon. Car looks fairly planted. And they've run down to 130R, still out of battery. It's like he's playing a little bit too much. 6 temps up. 6 temps will only put him at a 29.7, so it will put him in and around that ballpark of the top 2. But I think he's got a little bit more in it. I think this is going to be, 29.5, so that's provisional pole. As Harvey's on in lap. Riker is up on his time. Seems to have a lot more battery. as Kane has finished his qualifying session on a 31.6. Also did a 32.5 on a set of softs. So we will see what Riker has as he comes through the final couple of corners. It's looking smooth, but can only go to P5 with a 30.1. And that's Dan finishing. Full-Send Dave has finished his lap. Mihai is entering the pits. And so it's just James Brown who does not improve. That is short quality over and done with. Well, sprint quality. Mechanical on pole for a sprint race. What does the world come to? As we're just waiting on the session to end. There we go. Just had to wait for the car that entered the pits to be wheeled in before it would end the session. So just to confirm, front row for the sprint will be Mechanical and Grazy, followed by Harvey, Hindsight, and Riker, Claymore and Josh, Chip, Marshall, Dan, rounding out the front 5 rows, then Full-Send Dave, Mihai, James Brown, Cavalis, Gainful, Kane, also. And that is our sprint race lineup. I would be surprised if we didn't just see everybody on a set of mediums. There's only 9 laps, but it can also be extremely tyre heavy. And as Collins just said, he has always had good 1 lap pace here, which is true. Shame the rest of his pace doesn't quite match up to that anymore before he starts jumping in and being like, oh, I've got a championship and you don't. Helmet. But I will flash up what tyres everybody is on once they have chosen and selected their fuel loads. With the new battery system, a lot of the races now are requiring to be underfueled because of the lift and coast technique to recharge that battery. It's far from ideal because some people are still struggling with battery management, ending up either massively overfueled because they're expecting to burn through more of it, so they're feeling how they previously would have in previous games, or they're massively underfueling and expecting to be able to lift and coast to save more fuel than what they actually will during the duration of a race. That's why practice sessions are becoming more important, whether it's with other members of the league or if you're doing it privately. Running out of fuel is never something that you want to do, or on the flip side of that, being 10 laps plus worth of fuel by the end of the race and just adding more and more tyre wear. As Colin has just said, correct, to me, about me saying him having a championship and whatnot. So if we can ready this up, we've had enough time, that would be fantastic. Dan, Clayton, anyone? There we go. Okay. It's an interesting choice. Full-Send Dave. I think that the softs will get him to the end of the sprint. And so does Gainful. Everybody else has opted for the medium, as I said. I think they would do. And you can tell who hasn't realised that they need to turn the battery off during the formation lap. There's no need to have it on. There's a formation lap. Just make sure that you're fully charged by the time you start the race. There we go. Exactly what I was on about. Dan with a fuel warning light already. It's only the formation lap, but it's just switched off. So it is saying that the possible race strategies are both the soft and the medium. I feel like the soft will go off after about 4 laps, and then you're just spending the rest of the race in trying to manage the grip. Mediums will be slow over the initial couple of laps, but then you'll have the grip advantage later on in the race and possibly be able to make up some more places. Again, it just depends on driving styles. Are we going to get another full send Dave no moment, or are those only for Monza? We'll find out in a few short moments, as Mechanical is coming around the final corner and just about to line up on the outside of turn 1, which is always beneficial for here. It means that if there's a cluster into turn 1 on the inside, you can just take the outside line and swoop round. So there we go. We'll just have this up for the time being. And that's it. Lights are out. Everybody's seemingly getting away cleanly. Bit of a squeeze on Mechanical there from Gracie into turn 1. Yeah, everybody's seemingly through turns 1, 2, and 3 as cleanly as possible. So Grazie's deployed battery, so has Mechanical. We have cars spinning in the background. So that was Dan, and also as we're now watching Gainful going up the inside, and now round the outside of the hairpin. That's ambitious, as getting it right on the brakes. He's got to run out of it, in fairness. So well done Gainful on a great move around the outside of Kane through the hairpin and the run up to Spoon. But we have seen the drastic overspeeds, people deploying in different regions of the track, just trying to keep inside that second window and keeping the overtake. So let's see if we've got anything going on further up the field. As that is Claymore fighting with Riker. As Mechanical goes round, pulls out and goes round the outside of turn 1 on Gracie. Gave him just about enough room. There we go. Claymore's fuel light flashing, so he's underfueled. Gracie obviously leading into sector 1, well, into lap 2, so he does not have the recharge boost, which is shown with the overtake mode being in blue. But everybody behind him does up until James Brown being out the side of that second window, and then everybody down to Osso has it. So there's only 2 cars, James Brown and Gracie being the 2 that have some. Well, one was leading and the other one must have been outside of that 1 second window. Where is James Brown? He should get it this lap, as he is only 6 tenths behind the car ahead, so he's done a good job in pulling that in. It's the only thing with these new batteries. If you've managed to pull out a gap, like if you've managed to get ahead, you need to pull out that 1 second plus lead in the lap that you have that additional battery, because now we're just going to watch Crazy come back at mechanical. He's pulled back 4 attempts along the start finish straight alone. Neither of them have the recharge boost, but Riker's just playing it cautious, hanging back a little bit. That is a decent shot of the top of the S's, in fairness. But he's going to have Harvey for company in a minute. Harvey aiming to get onto the podium for the sprint. Maximize as many points as he can here to take into the feature race. As that was Captain Hindsight and Chip Hazard swapping places. And that was Marshall and Josh going at it through Spoon of all places, going side by side through both parts of Spoon. And now we've got James Brown. Are we gonna please don't make it 3 wide into 130R? Oh, that was somebody's front wing. It looked like a bit of an end plate. And now it's just a drag race to turn 1, as that is James Brown trying his best to pick a side and just cannot get the straight line speed over Chip and Marshall into turn 1. So Marshall has held on to P9 for the time being. Chip has held on to P8. Josh is now trying to bolt and catch the back of Captain Hindsight and Claymore. As Dan has managed to recover himself into P14. Still with that yellow fuel light on. So that should be a little bit of a concern as they're halfway through the race. Is that Gainful? Nope, that was Marshall going up the inside of Spoon. So they're still going at this through the same sequence of corners. It seems like they've prioritized downforce, so they all have a better run, as is Mechanical and Grazy. Changing positions. Oh, that's a look. I'm not sure on how much he intended it. It might have just been the overspeed, but Chip trying a bit of a chance look up the inside of the final chicane. As Claymore and Harvey and Hindsight is still nose to tail going through the S's. That's not a place you want to stick your nose. Being out there is not the one. As Hindsight has made it stick though. Is this tactical from Colin? Does he actually have this level of intelligence to just sit and recharge that battery, let Grazy spend all of the energy to stay ahead, but because he's getting that extra couple of kilowatts per lap to recharge and deploy, he might be able to make a last lap assault. I don't know. I think I might be giving him slightly too much credit in terms of his intelligence, because Riker is just about to make a move. This is why you just pick a line, not the middle of the track. And yes, I know he's going to come back and tell me the middle of the middle of the track is still our line. It's his line, not either the inside or the outside. So hindsight is chilling. He's managed to pull a little bit away from Claymore. Josh is now looking like he's picked up the pace within half a second now of Claymore. So those mediums for Claymore will not be feeling too great at this stage in the race. 6 laps in, struggling a little bit for grip possibly. Marshall's still leading this group of cars. At least I can guarantee that they're going to go side by side through Spoon again, or at least into one side are, because they're all deploying around about the same stage. I say that, and Chip has just taken a look up the inside of the exit of Spoon, or the second part of Spoon. And there we go, there's the overspeed. Is he brave enough on the brakes? That looked like a track limit warning, if I'm being honest. We have no track limit penalties so far. So that's Dan making a move. Cavalis moving up 2, Kane moving up. Pulse and Dave running out wide through the first couple of corners. Grazy's managed to pull out at the front of the pack. Mechanical is now 1.1 behind, so whatever setup he's running, that possibly higher in downforce. I would say so, because he tends to be better through the corners, but then not as quick along the straights. So it's one of those you can catch, but you can't get past. I say that, but he has less battery than Grazy. Grazy's battery management has been good so far. Luke has requested an invite, so bear with me while I just send him one. There we go. Sorry about that. Luke, your invite has been sent. Mihai has picked up the first track limit penalty of the race. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 1, but whereabouts was it? Possibly somebody just running over the exit curbs of the top of the S's. Ooh. Gainful getting out of position, and Dan sending the optimistic move. In fairness, it was done. You just killed all momentum on exit, so it happens. We'll try again next lap, same place. The hairpin is one of the best places to overtake here. Yeah, stick in the slipstream, especially if he's running a lower rear wing. Make sure that you just stick with him. I can see a move being made, into the chicane. Very nicely done. Was teed up from the moment that he outbraked himself into the hairpin. As Chip and James Brown are still going at it. It's a V-Car versus Red Bull. Mechanical has one last attempt to make this move stick. as Josh has gotten past Claymore this lap. And Claymore running out of fuel on a red fuel light. So is Hindsight. Harvey is just well, it looks like Mechanical has just been mugged into the hairpin by Riker. Let's stay on board with this for a moment, because both of them do not know when to back out. So this could be, Mihai has retired. I'm not sure if that was on track, if he's crashed somewhere or if he's been quit, because I was focusing on these two not giving each other an inch. Oh, that was a little bit too close for comfort. Yeah, it's almost like I knew what was going to happen there, Colin. But hey, points are points. So we have Crazy taking the sprint win, followed by Riker, Mechanical, Harvey, Hindsight, Josh, Claymore, Marshall, James Brown, Chip, Catalyst, Dan, Gainful, Kane, Pulse and Dave, also, and Mihai, who retired. And let's see if I can find it. So Mihai exceeded track limits and then speed in the pit lane. So yeah, that's got to be a pit and quit. Don't like to see that, even if the race isn't going your way. And we're just currently waiting on the feature quality to get underway. So as I was saying, we now have 18 minutes of sprint of feature quality. It is just short quality. Also, why are you saying that? It would help if you actually did a quali lap and actually put yourself in a position to challenge. It's the one thing that's confused me week in, week out, that I see you turn up on time and then you just don't qualify. So if we could start qualifying maybe once or twice this season. The only person that you're embarrassing by not qualifying is yourself. I mean, you can't do much worse than Colin. Speaking of which, I think he may... Yep. First one out. Dan saying in the Discord that he is rusty. Yeah, a couple of weeks away we'll do that. It happens to all of us. Unfortunately for me, my comeback race will be on a controller, so that's years of rust, not just a couple of weeks. So Marshall is, well, everybody is on a set of softs as expected. Marshall is only in the run up to the hairpin, so Luke got him fine. As Mechanicals coming around the top of Sector 1, just started to head up the hill. Suzuka is so satisfying, especially when you get the S's right. You nail these and you're like, oh, I'm on for a good lap, and then you realise that you've got Degner 1 and 2 to come, and if you just hit the inside curb wrong on Degner 1, it unsettles the car so badly, and you can end up either in the gravel trap or the wall. It's just an unrelenting challenge, but it's satisfying once you hook up a lap and you know it's a good lap. So Colin is out of battery in the run up to Spoon, but he'll lift, he'll coast into it. Ideally on the exit of, well, on the entrance to the second part of Spoon, you want to be lifting. Just lift off the accelerator and drop a gear or two. Give yourself enough time to regen that battery a little bit more. Claymore's done a 30 flat, so it's a decent start to his qualifying session. But Mechanical to coming behind him, so early pace setters. Dan's on an outlap. Luke is on our lap, so we'll follow on with Luke as he missed a sprint, so he's just trying to get up to speed as quick as possible. See what he can do through the end of Sector 2. There we go. Luke's holding a lot more battery at the same stage of the lap than what Colin was. .112.8 through Sector 2. And onto the brakes. Through the final chicane. Looked like it was a smooth run through there. So 30.9 puts himself P6. So the pace setters so far, hindsight with a 29.972, Claymore 30.022, Mechanical 30.155, Marshall with a 30.520, Kane 30.832, Luke 30.942. As Dan's coming through Sector 2. I think Dan will be the closest to finishing an our lap, as everybody else is. Yeah, Mihai is behind Dan on track, and then Harvey is just finishing his lap, so we'll see what Harvey can do. It's not looking like it's the quickest of laps. It's 31.5. Oh. Completely ignore me. Could not have got further from the truth there. As Dan puts himself into P8 with a 30.6 on a set of mediums. It's not a bad run, so his next run on a set of softs will be significantly quicker, you would expect. Crazy's just on his lap, breakers in the garage, so is Chip. Cavalier is on an outlap. Josh is on an outlap, so is James Brown. Mihai is just going through Sector 1. That is an in-lap. Um, yeah, if that is the case, Clayton, then it will be. He knows the punishment for getting a quali ban. So it's not like they're not told the day of or the weekend of. Grazy's just coming down to the end of sector 2. And Colin saying poor battery management cost him on that lap. Yeah. Hindsight has opted to retire from the session already. That's an interesting choice, unless he's trying to preserve as many tyres as. Oh, was that Hindsight in the wall? As Grazy puts himself P3 with a 29.9. So, very interested as to what happened there. Luke saying that the game threw him into a Ferrari, but he is not Josh Gaming's teammate. Okay, Marshall, why are we just stopping? I understand that you're trying to let cars through, but there is better ways to do it than that. No need just to completely stop on track. Just roll round slightly below race pace off the racing lane. Give enough room and you're fine to keep going. Also saying that he's just poor at quali, so he just tends to do one run every now and again. As Chip's just about to come towards the final couple of corners to complete his lap. What's he got in the tank? Is it in the 29s? No, it's a 30.4, so that puts him P10. Dan's on an outlap. Riker's in sector 1. How is he getting on here? It's quick. Marshall's just completely out of fuel. Josh is dropping in. That will be for a change of tyres. Mihai is on an outlap. Chip's on an lap. Gainful, Cavaliers, and so that's Dan's lap just starting. Gain's on an outlap. So it looks like Riker's lap we are watching. Has Riker left it late in the session in order to get 2 runs on an evolved track, or does he only have enough sets of tyres for 1 and done? It's got to be in the 30s, I think. 29.6. So it's only fractionally behind Hindsight, but Hindsight is still on top, but has retired from the session. So Dan is currently up on his lap. It's not by much, but got to exit out of Spoon, use all of the track available. Like now that they've flattened some of the curb surfaces, that's a very good middle sector You can now utilize the exit curb of Spoon and drive straight towards it instead of away from it. It's not the best in the final sector. He has lost some time, but that middle sector made up for it. Puts himself P5 with a 30.005. So he's up there. Mihai is currently up on his lap. Colin telling also just to use some battery. Yeah, I think there was about a two or three race window a few years ago when they first introduced the ERS deployment in the terms of overtake modes and stuff like that, where Otto just completely did not know how to use it and was finishing a race on 100%. We love you, Otto, but sometimes you need to get it together. So Mihai is through sector 1, Marshall on an outlap, Gainful on an inlap, Kane on an inlap, Luke on an out. Harvey on an outlap, Dan. I think Dan has got enough time to drop into the pits. What is with that with in front of every pit? The little dip in the track. I don't think that's supposed to be a thing. As Gainful is currently up on his lap. Also, the more that you decline that wasn't you, the more that we know it was. So go do a lap. I'll give you some airtime. Yeah, I know that you're underfueled. That's kind of where I was going with the some people underfuel, some people overfuel. Nobody wants to run out of it because I remember you running out of fuel in, what was it, Brazil? Like 6 laps from the end. As Luke starts his flying lap, also still in the garage. Dave is now out on track. Harvey is a quarter of a second up, so Harvey is looking. This could be tight for the next couple of corners. Has he over deployed that battery to get that far up on his laps so far? Or has he done enough to pip? No, he stays exactly where he is. So Dan is on an outlap. Claymow's on an outlap. Mihai is on an excursion somewhere. I don't quite know where. Mechanical's on an outlap. Marshall's just about to start this, and if he somehow manages to set pole, it won't be deserved because he did have a quali ban, which should have remembered about because it was tagged. Let's see how he gets on through sector 1. It looks like they've moved the sector 1. Yeah, he's over a second up. Well, over his previous best. How's Mechanical going to get on a 10th and a half over his personal best through sector 1? But around here it is very manageable to pull that back. It just requires a couple of decent corners. Personally, I prefer the high and shallow line through there, so brake deep, turn into the hairpin fairly tight, and drive straight out to the exit curb. Everybody has the preferred lines, and it makes for a great overtaking spot as a result of that. Oh, he's going to get a nice tow from that V-carb. Yeah, he has. So this is looking at putting Colin in and around a 29.9 ballpark as that V-carb just takes to the escape road. 29.7, so he did pick up a fairly big tow from that V-carb. Full Send Dave has done a 30.9. Congratulations, you have managed to complete a lap. Luke about to cross the line. Goes P11. Claymore jumps up into P6 on a 29.9, so that's a decent lap from him. Where's Dan? Quarter of a second up. This could be interesting, especially if he has a good run through the final couple of corners. P6, so oof. Marshall is up on his lap time, getting a tow from what looks to be Harvey. Yeah, I would presume that was Harvey. Yeah, it was. Okay, so Marshall has taken pole from Hindsight, who did that lap very early on in the session. Who will then be followed by Riker and Harvey, Gainful and Mechanical making up the third row. Dan and Claymore on the fourth, Grazy, Mihai on the fifth. So congratulations to those rounding out the top 10. And we'll just get the the quality results there. Okay, we're just waiting on drivers to choose their strategies. And their fuel loads for the race week, well, for the race. So it should, previous games and histories would have it as a one stop. You could previously do it on a medium soft. But I think due to the excessive tyre wear that 2025 and 2026 seems to have given us, it could be a two stop for some drivers. So we could see a mixture of strats thrown in here, especially as the time that you lose per lap can be in excess of like 3 seconds a lap on really worn tires. You could end up realistically making that time back by taking the extra pit stop. So yes, you will lose 22 to 25 seconds in the pits. But if you're losing 3 to 5 seconds a lap on your previous best or the cars around you, it could work out that taking that extra pit stop would be beneficial. So Colin has said it's a medium hard. So some people are opting for the 2-stop, as I said. I can guarantee somebody gainful will start on the set of softs, try and make up as many positions as possible, aiming for an early safety car. Once that safety, if there is an early safety car, then he'll be in the prime position to then pop on a set of mediums or hards and then be on the same pitch strategy as everybody around him. So we have 27 laps worth of racing to come. Here we go. We will leave that on interval. Tires. Okay, so while we're on the formation lap, I will just run through the tires that everybody is using. Marshall, Hindsight, Riker, Harvey, Gainful, Mechanical, Dan, Clay, Grazy, Mihai, Luke, James Brown, Josh, Chip, Cav are all on a set of mediums. Kane on a set of softs, then Pulse and Dave also, and are all on mediums. So when I said there'll be one that starts on a set of mediums, possibly Gainful, I was on a set of softs, sorry. I was right. It just was not the right driver. So 2-stop, lap 8 to 12, then 17 to 23. The fact that the 3-stop was an option as the preferred strats just goes to show how screwed the tire wear is becoming on these games. I do feel sorry for anybody that is listening along to this, as I am just waffling absolute nonsense. So, sorry about that, guys. While we have it, let's take a look about some facts about Suzuka. Because we're just lining up, everybody is taking their positions. Harvey has missed his grid slot. And it's 5 lights. Away we go. There's very tentative off the start. Just a couple of cars getting very, very close. Oh, yeah, we've got to give space there, lads. Okay, it seems like everybody else has gone through the first sector fairly clean. Kane has made up a place, also has had an awful start, being a second off the pace already, unless he's picked up wing damage through sector turn 1. As that's Kane and Full Send Dave going wheel to wheel. I mean, that's as far apart for wheel-to-wheel racing as you can get. It very respectful for both parties. As that's Cavalis going backwards. Oh, struggling on the brakes already, cold brakes. Look at the overspeed. Ooh. Crazy, right thing to do there with backing out. There was no need to risk that. But I think that will be Grazy up past Mechanical and Luke by the end of this lap. Nah, Mechanical is going to just sit and hold the pair of them up. Sit in the middle of, like, through the S is fair enough, there's not really any way you can go. Unless you're willing to chuck it around the outside and hope that the other car doesn't understeer. But not ideal to be doing that there. As I just look back on Grazy, the thinking about it. Through Degner 1 and 2, it's a great shot. You see the track just fall away. I thought Luke was going to have a look up the inside there. There has been contact ahead. That was, oh! Gainful just... Not sure what happened, so I'm not going to speak on it because I only caught the back end of it. But the battle does seem to be in and around this little group. So both Mercs are performing quite well in the early stages. Luke is just trying to find the place to get past Gainful. Rear end just locked up as he went to just touch the brakes in order to get it slowed enough for Degner 2 there. Traction for Luke there. Bogged him down a little bit too much on the exit of the hairpin in order to get the run into Spoon. His best opportunity will be in the run down to 130R if he can hook up the drive, and yeah, just Gainful's rear wing is too low in order to get anywhere near it. But if he can stick with Gainful will then drag him towards the Mercs of Dan and Hindsight. As Collins now trying to recover his race after being involved in an early coming together, which put him from P7 down to P11 or 12. Josh is now also on the back. Claymore has had a moment too, so he's back down in P17. Also, are you okay? Right. Mihai's trying to get onto the back of this pack of Kane and Cavalis. Josh has got a good line through the first part of Spoon. Oh! Mechanical had a moment on the exit curb. Josh had to make an immediate reaction to stop going into the back of him. So the reflexes there saved a pair of them ending up in a barrier. Colin is just straight up not having a good time in this race because he's now got full send Dave for company. Who's got Cavalis on his gearbox. A lot of flashing red lights, people harvesting energy left, right and centre. Chip on his way through the S's. Oh, that V-Carb sounds horrible from that on board. As Hindsight has made it up past Riker. So that was Dan looking for a route around the outside to follow his teammate through. Realised that it wasn't there and opted against it. Marshall up in P2, just 8 attempts behind. He's behind the race leader in Harvey. Is this where we see them move Riker on Hindsight? You can see the patience that Dan has in other cars. Like, he knows that if he lets them race each other, they will just trip over each other at some point. And there will be a almost through goes Hamilton moment. It'll just be through goes Dan. And he'll just drive straight through the opening. It's smart, but it can ultimately cost him a good 4 or 5 seconds over the course of the race. Especially when he's got somebody lurking behind like Gainful. Crazy has made a move on Luke, gone up the inside of the hairpin. Josh and Mechanical are still stuck together, so that's going to be a race-long battle as we're approaching a third race distance. So those mediums now will not be feeling the best, but they will still have grip, unlike the softs that Kane has bolted on at the moment. 5 laps in, they're going to be feeling awful. Gainful has moved up past Crazy. And so has Luke. So something has happened to Crazy there. These two will be at it for the remainder of the race too. Very even in pace, but one is difficult to overtake, the other one is very consistent. So Dan is still just trying to find that moment. Just needs Hindsight to pull away that little bit more in order to get Riker isolated. Not by much, just a couple of attempts. But when the car behind has this additional battery, the additional recharge, it does make it very, very difficult in order to move ahead. As there we go, Dan has dived up the inside of Riker. Riker did leave that defensive move slightly late, so Dan has moved over. Well, swooped from inside to outside, made the move up around the outside and up the inside of the chicane. then chosen a beautiful defensive line into turn ones and two. Riker not really willing to give that up, but he is now opted that that move is done and that place is gone. Gainful is now outside of that recharge zone, so he will now be a little isolated in terms of the battery deployment. So Luke needs to get this done this lap. Ideally, in the run down to 130R, get ahead and get within that second of Riker at the same time. Is he going to have the facilities for that? I'm not quite sure, because Gracie is lurking behind in that Cadillac. No, Luke does not have the ability, doesn't have the facilities to make that move. Does have to defend from Gracie though. Trying to think about a move on Gainful while looking behind and trying to find out where Gracie is. It's not the easiest job, as we have Mechanical and Riker both into the pit lane. Both strapping on a set of hard tires, so they will be going until about lap 18, 19 I would suspect. Anybody that isn't in the pits at the moment, I would expect them to go to about lap 12, and then that will take them on a one stop, I would presume. Yeah, so Riker, Kane, and Mechanical have all opted to pit. Freshest tyres on the track, so we should start seeing some gaps drop. And so far, the biggest winners and losers from the opening 9 laps of the race. Harvey up 3, Gainful, Hindsight hasn't moved, Dan up 4, Marshall's down 3, Gainful stayed where he is, Luke up 5, Gracie up 2, James Brown up 4, Chip up 5, Josh up 3, Cavalis up 4, Full Send Dave up 5, Riker's down 12 as the biggest loser, so is Mechanical. So they have pitted. That is Luke now into the pits. So that is still very on the cusp of a 1 stop, potentially a 2 stop. It just depends on how long he wants to keep those hards on for. And we have nobody on any track limit penalties, so congratulations lads, we're keeping it on the track for the first time in a while. I'm not sure who's got any track limit warnings. It is fairly difficult to get around Suzuka because of the layout. Really the only place that you gotta get a warning is the exit of Spoon or through the bus stop, well, through the chicane, because you've taken too much curb. It is entirely possible, it does happen, but that's Mechanical just having a very, very lonely race back down there now. It started off so well, but it happens. He's got it. Anything can happen. That is a Gainful odds. The wrong way round at this chicane. Ooh, big lock up. As Full Send Dave has dipped into the pits in front of him. Is this a wing change for Dave? No. Ooh, those tires are not going to be feeling very nice through there. You can see that a couple of people have had offset into the gravel trap due to the amount of gravel spread on the exit of Degner 2. Just trying to keep near the car ahead when your tires are this worn. We have a issue in sector 1. Is this Dan's time to drop into the pits? Nope. Those tires must still be feeling alright for him. How he didn't get the recharge is beyond me. Because he finished a lap 7 tenths behind his teammate. Claymore and Cavalier have changed positions. So Claymore looking at sticking a move on the championship leader. Everybody is entitled to a bad race weekend. It does happen. And the Suzuka is one of those tracks where it exposes weaknesses in your technical ability. The drivers that say that they hate this track are the ones that that prefer the lesser technical tracks like the Imolas, the Monzas. There's a lot going on here, every available opportunity. So can he get the switch back through the chicane? Nope. That's Josh into the pits. Hindsight into the pits. As Marshall just goes steaming up the inside of Osso, who is a lap down. Riker has overtaken Josh. Luke 2. Easily done when they're stationary. This could be chaos. When you're on a 2-stop, your primary objective here is to just stay within the pit stop window of the cars ahead. So, or at least on the back of them. So when you come out of the pits, they're either going to be pitting themselves or you're going to have the pace to catch and pass again. Mechanical being down in E15 and currently being 36 seconds off the leader. It's about a 25-second pit stop. So Riker is within the pit stop window ahead, but that's if Riker makes another stop, which I don't think he's going to. Claymore has jumped to the top of the standing because he has not pitted yet. That was Dan entering the pits or leaving it. So that is Claymore very much trying to get that one stop to work. Also has picked up a 3-second track limit penalty. Also. What are we doing, mate? We've now got a fairly big field spread. Luke is attacking. as I say that. Fair enough, lads. I have zero complaints there between Mechanical and Kane. It looked like it could have gone quite spicy through the back end of the Degners, but they kept it together. No contact, and the move was done through the hairpin, where they both took contrasting lines. Off they go. That is Claymore into the pits now. Where's that going to pull Claymore out? It's going to be in the top 10, I think. It's going to be in and around Josh. Marshall and Luke still at it. It's been one of Luke's favourite circuits for the last couple of years. But it's no surprise that he's hopped in after missing the sprint. Had an okay-ish quality session for his standards, but then proceeded to turn up for the race, the feature. Oh, Kane, that's shot limits if I've ever seen it. Yeah, those rear tires aren't going to last like much longer if you keep lighting them up like crazy. Marshall has gotten past Luke. Luke has opted for the outside line. Outbraking someone into turn 1 at Suzuka is very uncharacteristic for Luke. So it's a great move, and he's actually managed to pull out a sizable gap through the S's as a result. It's 6 tenths through Sector 1 alone, because Marshall now has James Brown to contend with, who is not going to let him get away too easily. As Claymore is on the freshest set of tyres, only a lap compared to the 7 ahead of him, and the 5 of Force and Dave. He should realistically have a couple of attempts here or there of just outright raw pace advantage. I thought he was going to take a look up the inside of the chicane under brakes. It's the only thing with having to lift and coast to recharge your battery. A lot of the overtakes now are done in a straight line, while you're significantly better off on your battery than the driver ahead. So it does suck for those that do like not a dive bomb, but a light braking move. That you've pretty much got to be alongside before you can even consider the move. Otherwise, cars will just turn in. It's their corner, they're entitled to do so. It's not really much going on. Gainful is battling Cavaliers down in P14 and 15. crazy by himself, came by himself, also significantly by himself. Also is pretty much a full pit stop behind Kane at this point. So Riker and Dan still going at this. Just give it up and stay with him. All of that grass on your front right won't do you any help. Despite Colin only being on those tires for 9 laps, that was the James Brown might have front wing damage there. On the inside of 130R. I knew he'd break because he has a wife and kids at home type of moment. James Brown has also got a penalty. Who's carrying penalties? James Brown, Josh, Fulton Dave, Kane's got 6 and also has got 3. So not too bad in terms of track limit penalties. 19 laps into the race. Colin will be needing to make an extra stop in a minute because I don't think those tyres are going to make it another 8 laps. And as Fulton Davis just dropped into the pits, so has Luke. Let's see. Yeah, so it's about a 24-second pit stop around here. It's not the longest pit stop on the calendar, but definitely isn't the shortest. Hindsight, I'm trying to hunt down Harvey. This is going to be an interesting one. Got a yellow flag in sector 3. Mechanical in the pits as predicted. Kane just taking a very cautious route through the chicane. Right, Colin, you've got 7 laps and about 15-20 seconds to make up on the cars ahead to get into the top 10. Go. As Josh is looking at Chip. We're going to see anybody else dip into the pits and change. Not really anything going on. There's Mihai in the pits. Change of nose. Yeah. Set us off to the end. Claymore knows as long as he sticks with James Brown, he inherits that position and he's not really of any danger behind, because the cars behind are too far back to make a real impact at this point in the race. See what penalties we're on. Yeah, everybody's still on 3 seconds, besides from Kane. As Josh has made that move, finally, he's been lining up like a lap and a half. It's a good move, well done. Respectful from both sides. And Claymore has gone James Brown. So late in the race, tyre wear coming into it. And there's still a lot to play for. Yeah, Dan has managed to gap Riker enough to keep him out of that recharge zone, but not enough. He's not going to be catching his teammate anytime soon. Unless his teammate has a massive high side somewhere. Oh, James Brown has gone back past Claymore. So this battle is still going to keep going. As Chip is still looking at the back of Josh. Cavalice. Has opted to stick that one, to stay away from sticking his nose up the inside there. Canical has pulled in the gap on Luke. That extra lap of tyre wear coming in handy, but I don't think he's going to have enough to move up, particularly further than P13. It's been a fairly boring race in terms of action. Like, most of the overtakes being made as you'd expect with the help of the battery. A couple of nice moves into the hairpin and the chicane, but in terms of that, most we're just seeing strategy play out. So it happens. A boring race is never a bad thing. See, is hindsight just trying to wait to do a last lap attack here? Riker's tyres should start feeling like they're about to go at this stage. Been on them 15 laps, the longest of anybody. Like, the next closest is Gameful on 13. So he's going to have to be very, very, very cautious. As Josh has gone past Clay, who is probably followed by Chip, who has just somehow stormed out of nowhere with insane straight line speed. But will now have no recharge. Josh will, Clay will, so will Gameful, so will Gavlis. 3 laps to go, and there is still a group of cars battling for P6. Anything can happen. 1 track limit penalty for any of them, and it could be back to the back. Well, down to about P12, P11 for them. Hindsight is just not quite close enough. That's Clay being passed by Gameful. Cavaliers is next up behind. Got to be careful here, or he... Oh. Or he is going to end up losing out massively from what essentially was a shoe-in P6. Could end up finishing P8, P9 at this rate, as we watch Josh and Chip trade positions. Which this does help James Brown in hindsight, because he has managed to pull out that time difference between himself and Chip. Will now keep that P6. So these lot battling behind him just have not helped themselves in any given way, shape or form. Oh, there's Gameful gone on the hard tyres. Sorry, on the mediums. Hards, yep, that might be a puncture. It's definitely a wing change. Nope, resulted to go for the final lap. Cavaliers has managed to get up past Claymore. Those hard tyres just have not felt great for Claymore at this point, I'm going to presume. As we'll just go jump on board with the lead duo as they're coming round the final couple of corners. Dan coming home for a third place. Congratulations. Actually says fastest lap of the race. What has happened to Claymore? It's been round. All run out of fuel. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Okay, we're just waiting on Mihai to take Mihai and also to take the flag. If they both join this post-race interview, this is going to be a very eventful Irish serenade. So, let's give them their moment on the podium. Congratulations to Harvey, Hindsight, and Dan. Two different constructors on the podium. As Harvey gets the race win, Claymore gets the fastest lap, driver of the day, and most overtakes. Luke gets cleanest driver. So, there we go. And just for confirmation, we have Harvey, Hindsight, Dan, Riker, Marshall, James Brown, Chip, Cav, Josh, Crazy, Luke, Mechanical, Gainful, Clay, Pulse and Dave, Kane, Mihai, also. Let's see if these two or three join the post-race interviews. If not, we will call it a day there. Evening. Yeah, give me a sec.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but bear with me. There we go. I just had my audio coming through my TV and not my headset. But during the comms. All right, so it appears that we're not having Dan join us. Uh, it is what it is. So we'll start with hindsight. Leave the winner to last. Um, so it seemed like you had enough pace through the corners. Like you were running possibly a different wing setup to prioritize the corner exits and exit entrances and exits. But then the run down to 130, you just could not get anywhere near Harvey.
No, you could tell we both had different setups there. Like we were both playing different games. But here, look, just before anything, I have to say, fair fucks to Harvey. That was impressive as fuck because I threw everything I could at that cunt. Like I put my nose in every corner I could just to put him off, and he just didn't break. He didn't break at all. That was impressive to watch. So it was. So fair play, lad. Well done there.
Yeah, I caught a couple of the attempts, um, and both of them, like the ones I caught, the respect was given from both sides. It was nice to see. So
Yeah,
you'd put your nose up the inside, but then Harvey kind of knew it was there and would either turn in a little bit later or would ease off the brakes a little bit earlier in order
I
to run that little bit further into the corner.
I think Harvey knew I was bluffing on near enough all of them. He knew it. Like he knew I wasn't going to send it there on any of them. I was just trying to put him off the line. That's all I was trying to do. But they were all bluffs because I wasn't beside him for any of them. It was just trying to put him off, and he didn't fall for any of them. He just kept his line and kept going.
It was impressive from the pair of you. You were in a league of your own tonight, so congratulations on the P2.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Great haul of points with Dan finishing third also for Mercedes.
Yeah, my back was getting sore there carrying the team, so it's good to have him back, you know.
Yeah. So that's a great haul of points for you, especially as it's a sprint weekend too. So there was double points available, and
Yeah,
you both scored in the sprint and feature. So I think Dan scored in the sprint anyway.
yeah.
Uh, but Mercedes have had a great weekend. But Harvey, what were you running in the back of that Cadillac? Like it just it just seems to be a fucking rocket at every single like race that I watch. I did I did note that during the race that Suzuka is a driver's track in terms of its technical ability required. Because of, I'm not going to get into your setups because that it's all down to driver preference. But you obviously have two completely conflicting driving styles in terms of how you like your aero package to be set up. But by the end of the race, you were only less than a second apart over 27 laps. So the fact that both of you can make that work over such a technical and difficult track, especially one that the corners don't even they flow together, but each sector is a different challenge, and you have to have the mental resilience to remember what's coming next and to pick your lanes exact every single time, because one bad corner can cost you half a second a lap around here, especially like the hairpin. You run deep into that, or you just choose a poor lane. You're losing out massively in the run down to Spoon, and then that's costing you all the way down to 130R. So the pair of you, it was fantastically driven. Dan also decided to turn up and try and put on a fight. Didn't quite succeed, but well done to all three of you. And I will let you go enjoy the rest of your Sunday evenings.
Nice one. Thank you. Well done, Harvey. Well done. Chat you after. Bye.